Hello and welcome to the next section. In this part, we are going to learn how to prepare the attack. In the previous videos, we learned how to deliver the killer blow. But you must know how do we reach that position where we can deliver the killer blow. And that's what we are going to learn in this section. So the first thing that you need to know is coordinate your pieces toward the opponent's king. If you use one or two pieces, if you take one or two pieces and then try to launch an attack on the opponent's king, it's not going to work. You need to coordinate your pieces, all of your pieces toward the opponent's king. And once the pieces are coordinated, then you will be easily able to find the killer blow and checkmate your opponent. So let's look at the first game. In this position, black played short castling. Now the question is, where should we develop this bishop? If we play a move like bishop to e3, then it's not pointing toward the opponent's king. So here white played pawn to b3. White wants to put his bishop on the b2 so that it will point toward the opponent's king. Black played bishop b7 and bishop b2. Pawn to c5, opening the diagonal of this light squared bishop. Rook a e1. White is just bringing all of his pieces into the game. White is developing his pieces. That's it. Black also played rook a e8. And here white played an interesting move. White played queen to h3, which is pointing toward the black's king. And it's an interesting move because white is offering a pawn for free to black. White is saying, take my pawn. Black played knight cross e4. Black took the pawn. And here white played bishop d3. You see, slowly, white is pointing all of his pieces toward the opponent's king. And now this bishop also is pointing toward the opponent's king. And the queen is already there. So we can create an attack on the h7 square. Black played knight f6. Black went back to guard the h7 square. And now look at the situation. Our queen is on h3, pointing toward the opponent's king. d3 bishop is also pointing there. b2 bishop is also pointing toward the opponent's king, and after a pawn move like f5, our f1 rook will also become active. But right now the c3 knight is not doing much and the e1 rook is also not doing much. So before we start playing aggressively, before we start looking for killer blows, we first improve these pieces. We coordinate these pieces toward the opponent's king and bring them into the attack. So here white played rook e3. And white's idea is very simple. White wants to bring his rook to g3 and point it toward the opponent's king. So white is not in a hurry. White is slowly bringing all of his pieces and pointing them toward the opponent's king, so that all of white's pieces are coordinated and they are pointing toward the opponent's king. And you see, there is a big threat. And the threat is this. Let's say black plays a natural move like rook to d8. Okay. Then white plays knight d5. Shocking move. White wants to eliminate this knight. Black plays bishop cross d5, and first we eliminate this defender, because this is the defender which is protecting the h7 square. So what we do? We first play bishop cross f6, and now black cannot play bishop cross f6 because of checkmate on the h7 square. We can play queen cross h7, checkmate. So here black must play g6. And you see, once all of our pieces are active and they are coordinated toward the opponent's king, then we start looking for the killer blows. And here we have a killer blow in this position. You remember what a killer blow is? A killer blow is a move that destroys the pawn cover of the opponent's king so that it becomes vulnerable to attack. And here white can play a killer blow on the h7 square. And now after king to h7, after king g8, we play rook h8, checkmate. That's the big threat. This is the point of playing rook to e3. Our attack will become so powerful if the rook joins the attack. So here black played g6. Black is just permanently blocking that diagonal. And you see, queen is in the attack. Rook is also ready to join the attack. Bishop is pointing here. The other bishop is pointing here. This rook is also pointing near the king. But the problem is the knight. Knight is not doing much. So we need to coordinate our knight and point it toward the opponent's king. and we don't want to play move like knight e4, because if we play move like knight e4, then after knight cross e4, bishop cross e4, all of our pieces will get exchanged and we don't have many pieces left to attack the king. So here we play knight d1. Sometimes you have to go back if you want to go forward. Our idea is to play knight f2 and then play moves like knight to g4. That's how we bring our knight into the attack. Now black decided to do something about it. Black played pawn to c4, a temporary pawn sacrifice to activate his pieces. B cross c4, queen c5. Now the queen is active, and if required, queen is willing to go to h5 to exchange the queens and stop the attack. So we play pawn to f5. If the queen manages to go to h5, then the queens will get exchanged and we cannot attack. So we play pawn to f5. We don't let the black's queen go to h5. And capturing this pawn is dangerous. If black plays a move like g cross f5, then you see the king has already become vulnerable on the g file. We play rook g3 check, king h8, and we bring the queen. Queen h6, threatening checkmate on g7. Black plays rook g8, and now we take the knight on f6. Bishop cross f6, queen cross f6, and it will lead to a checkmate. So you can see capturing on f5 can be so dangerous for black. And if black plays a move like e cross f5, then also we play rook cross e7. After rook cross e7, we play bishop cross f6. Now look, these dark squares are weak. We have the dark square bishop and we can use it to attack the black's king on the dark squares. Our long-term plan is to bring the queen on h6 and checkmate the black's king on g7. So this situation is strategically lost for black. That's why here black played pawn to e5. Black is blocking the diagonal of the bishop, and that's a good move. Now we play rook to g3. Slowly, we are coordinating our pieces toward the enemy king. Now the rook is on g3, eyeing on the g8 king. So black decided to play bishop to e4. Black is saying, look, let's exchange couple of attackers so that my defense becomes easier. And now we play knight to e3. We improve our knight and we are trying to bring it toward the opponent's king. Black plays bishop cross d3, exchanging one attacker, c cross d3. And now black played king h8, getting out of the dangerous g file. And let's look at the situation. Queen is here, pointing toward the king. Rook is already here, pointing toward the king. The knight can join the attack on the king's side via g4, and rook is also pretty active here. But what about this bishop? The bishop is not doing much. The bishop is attacking a pawn and the diagonal of the bishop is blocked. So before we play knight g4 and trying to exchange the defender, first we play bishop to c1. We want to play bishop h6. We want to bring our every piece into the attack. Black played rook g8 and now we play f cross g6. After f cross g6, look, all of our major pieces are active and bishop is also ready to join the attack. So now we play knight to d5. We want to exchange this defender. f6 knight is the defender of the black's king side. If we can manage to exchange the knight, then it will become easier for us to attack on the king side. And here black played knight cross d5. And see if you can find the killer blow here. You can pause the video and try to find the killer blow in this position. And the answer is we can play queen cross h7 check, sacrificing the queen and destroying the pawn cover of the opponent's king so that it becomes vulnerable to attack. After king cross h7, we play rook h3 check. Now our rooks and bishop will hunt the opponent's king. King to g7, we play bishop h6 check, king h7, and now we give a discover attack. We play bishop f8 discover check on the black's king. Black has only one option, bishop h4, and then we play rook cross h4 checkmate. That's how you coordinate your pieces, point them toward the opponent's king, then exchange the defender of the king, deliver a killer blow, and checkmate your opponent. Now let's see this procedure in one more example. We are still in the opening phase. Black played rook d8 and white played queen c2. After knight cd7, d4, c5. And now we start improving our pieces and start coordinating them toward the opponent's king. We start with knight to e5. Okay, the knight is centralized and it is near the opponent's king. Black played b6, black wants to develop his bishop on b7. And now we play bishop to d3, pointing this bishop toward the opponent's king. Look, the b2 bishop was already there, and now we bring our another bishop and point it toward the opponent's king. These small moves make all the difference. This is how you prepare the attack. These small moves will lead to a big attack later in the game. Just take your pieces and try to coordinate them toward the opponent's king. One small move at a time, that's it. This is the secret of preparing the attack. Black plays c cross g4, e cross g4, and black developed his bishop. Queen bishop are already pointing there. Okay, here white played queen e2. And you know why? Because many variations we have seen that once we sacrifice a bishop on h7, we follow up with queen to h5. That's why white played a small move. Queen was pretty active on c2, but white played queen e2, just sliding the queen a little bit and getting ready for queen h5. Just in case in future you will see that queen will go to h5. Here black plays knight f8. Black also senses the threat, so black is overprotecting the h7 square. And now look, our queen is active, bishop is also pointing toward the opponent's king, other bishop is also doing the same thing, knight is active, the rook can become active once we push f5 and open the f file. Okay, but what about this knight? c3 knight is not near the opponent's king. How do we bring it near the opponent's king? We don't want to play a move like knight e4, because after knight cross e4, bishop cross e4, bishop cross e4 and queen cross e4, our two minor pieces have been exchanged, and that's not good for us. We want to keep the pieces so that we can attack on the king. Just like in the previous example, here also we play knight d1. We come back so that we can go forward. This is exactly the same maneuver. Our idea is to go to knight f2 and then to go to maybe knight g4 or go to knight h3 or maybe knight g5. Trying to coordinate our knight and point it toward the opponent's king. Black played rook a7. Black is trying to defend through the 7th rank. We play knight f2. Black played queen b8. And now we play knight h3. Our idea is to go to knight g5, and once our knight reaches the g5, the knight's journey is complete. Then all of our pieces are coordinated and pointing toward the opponent's king. So black here played h6. Black wants to prevent it. And now what should we do? And look, the knight is pointing toward the opponent's king. Both of the bishop are pointing there. The queen is also ready to join the attack. Once the f file becomes open, rook is also ready to join the attack. And knight is there. Okay, maybe after g4, g5 we can go knight g5. So knight is also near the opponent's king. So how do we continue? And the answer is knight g5. Yes, knight to g5. Black played h6 to stop us from playing knight g5, and we play knight g5 anyway. And what do we want? We want black to capture our knight so that we can play f cross g5. And look, once the f6 knight moves, then we can take on the f7 square. Our rook will become active, and once the f6 knight moves, then we can also play queen h5. The queen joins the attack. So you can see the process is similar. First, we coordinate our pieces toward the opponent's king. Then we start exchanging the defender of the king, mainly the f6 knight, and we play killer blow and checkmate the opponent. If black moves the f6 knight away, then we can first play knight cross f7. Now we got two pawns for the piece, and we have a deadly attack. All of our pieces, bishops, knight, queen, rook are pointing toward the opponent's king. It's a pity that we could not bring even rook into the attack, but that's okay. We have still many pieces into the attack. After a move like knight cross g5, we can play queen h5, trying to checkmate on the h8 square. Black blocks it, and now we play d5. We bring this monster into the attack. E cross d5, we play knight h6 check. Black cannot capture our knight because then it will be a queen f7 checkmate. So black plays king h8, and now we play queen f7. We are threatening queen cross g7 or queen g8 checkmate. Black plays knight f6 and blocks both of these threats. Now we play queen g8, sacrificing the whole queen. Knight cross g8, knight f7, checkmate. That's why in this position black played knight 8 to d7. Black wants to maintain a knight on f6. Black wants to keep the f7 pawn safe, and black does not want us to play queen h5. So black wants to keep a defender on the f6. And now first we play knight cross d7. We want to remove the defender. We want to exchange the defender of the black's king. Of course, black does not want to play a move like knight cross d7, because then we can bring our queen to h5 and there are just so many threats. So black here plays rook cross d7. Now we play g cross f6 and bishop cross f6. We have learned how to deliver a killer blow on the f6 square. So we play rook cross f6, destroying the pawn cover of the opponent so that it becomes vulnerable. After g cross f6, now there is no one to protect the black's king. So we play queen g4 check. King has become vulnerable, so our pieces attack it. King f8, and now we play bishop a3 check. King cannot go to e8 because then it will be a queen g8 checkmate. So after bishop a3 check, black must play rook d6. And now we play queen f4, putting more pressure on the rook. We are going to win the rook. So black plays king e7. Black defends it. Then we play pawn c5, b cross c5, d cross e5. And black cannot really play a move like rook cross d3 because then we can play queen cross b8 and win the black's queen. So black here goes back. Now we play pawn to c6 check. Discover attack on the black's king. Black plays king e8. And now we play pawn c7, forking the queen and the rook. Once the queen moves, we can take the rook. And the king is so vulnerable, our pieces are active, and we have more material. So white is completely winning in this game. And now you can notice how this theme occurs again and again. First, we coordinate our pieces and point them toward the opponent's king. Then we exchange the defender of the opponent's king. We deliver a killer blow, and using our rest of the pieces, we start attacking the opponent's king. If you learn just one thing from this course, let it be this: coordinate all of your pieces and point them toward the opponent's king. If you follow just one advice, you are already better than 90% of the players. Most players do not coordinate all of their pieces and bring them into the attack. If you follow just one advice, you are already better than 90% of the players. Now let's go to the next lesson.